conversion or is it education? And I think it's both. In other words, we need conversion to see that we need the education about our racism and our racist history and those who have worked to move us past that. But I want to, and maybe it's a little late to interject a little different piece of this, and I may be out of place as a white parent doing this, but I wonder if part of the struggle, especially for African American parents, is not wanting to presuppose their children to look for racist behavior and so forth, and maybe that carries over into not necessarily or being ambivalent about talking about that history. I sat with a group of African American parents, Kentwood parents, because my church is close to that border, and this has been a few years ago. A lot of racist stuff going on in the Kentwood schools at that point, and the anguish on for those parents who said, we didn't raise our children to look for racist behavior because we didn't want them to be predisposed to look at things that way. And now when it's happened, they don't know how to deal with it. Whereas we learned that history, we learned that, and we knew how to deal with it. It was terribly painful and poignant, but I wonder if, and I'm not the one to answer that, but I wonder if for, as parents of color especially, that there is that pull in a couple directions, wanting to have their kids, be and see, that they're able to accomplish anything and are not necessarily wanting to deal with that.
I think parents in my age group bought a bill of goods that wasn't really well. We thought that if we got our kids educated and we sent them to the right schools, hope would be that they wouldn't have to deal with racism anymore. And so we got complacent, and we did get complacent. And I think we sat down on the job. My age and the generation after me, we sat down on the job. We didn't teach what we should have taught. And now we see what a difference it makes. And we, some way, those of us who did that, and the young people like Randall, who is so great in this whole field of activism, we now have to say, where are the seats? Why are these seats empty? Let's go find the people and teach them what they need to know. We have to take, now I don't care how old you are or how young you are, we have to own the issue.
Okay, I think Francisco has something to say, and we are down to our few minutes here.
We're getting to know each other, and something I guess that I need to go back and recognize a person that was working on this long before I was, and that was Daniel Vargas. His granddaughter is Chris Arnold. Danielle and I met, and at that time, this is in the 1940s, 50s, and he had already established a mutualist group. That means they helped each other on funerals, on food, whatever it was. They had their own social service going on that. He has done this work in helping people in every walk of life, especially if they were disadvantaged because of language. His work was recognized by the Pope, and he received a papal document praising him. But it was not presented in Grand Rapids. He had to go to Kalamazoo to receive it. Yeah. Now, this is not new. The thing is, we don't talk about it. It's because we're embarrassed or we're going to get even more punishment. But that day is over. You have to recognize that Rosa Parks open for us is a hope. She could do it, we can do it. All right. And this is something, for example, that I would just like to mention. About 8 months ago or so, I was recognized and included with the people, philanthropists of the community. And they had a movie, they filmed it for an hour or two at Calvin College, and they had all the big money people there. When I answered, and I said, now why do you want me on this? I said, I'm not a philanthropist. And he said, okay, let me tell you something. We have the information that you are. I said, well, if you have any information like that, I don't want anyone to know how you obtained it because I'm liable to lose my temper. And he said, well, it's public knowledge. I said, well, anything that I've done in life, in following the family, the teachings of Maimonides, considered the second Moses. And he has 8 rules of charity. You might check him out sometime. He will help someone, doesn't know where the gift came from. He will help somebody else with introducing himself. It's a very, very good guideline. So this person said, okay, we'll tell you that the reason we're recognizing you because of the help you gave people during the time that you owned the cemetery who were disadvantaged, that they had no one to turn to for burial, that they turned to the state. I had seen where some of these people are buried, and this is again something today. Find out when you see someone that call the Department of Social Services, find out where they were buried, and go get a few friends, go and see where they're buried. What you might call Potter's Field, close to where the dump is in the cemetery. Well, I did not want any publicity, but when a bid came up at the Social Services for the burials of indigents, I bid $21. Why? I own that cemetery. I could do things that nobody else would. And the $21, $1 went for the lot, and $20 went into care. By law, you have to do that. During the period of time, I have the names, I have the years. I donated over $700,000. Now, no, wait just a moment. This is possibly the second time that I've mentioned it. Once at Calvin, because they found out. But the other is, there are many people like myself that are doing things like this, and you call it in-kind service or in-kind work, some name like that. And we need to, again, make that part of Rosa Parks' legacy, to recognize these people. This will keep us going, remembering the film that you saw. Thank you.
Yes. All right. That brings us actually to our time, and it actually sort of brings us full circle. What are you going to do?
Two thoughts quickly before everybody leaves. I just want to say this has been a great panel. I want to thank GRCC for bringing me here, since everybody kind of had a round at it. I think the future in civil rights definitely lies in education. I think maybe it definitely is twofold. I think it needs to be institutionalized, and I think it needs to come from the community. I definitely think that we have a lot of work ahead of us. I mean, it's 2010, and we're just now celebrating getting Rosa Parks, the first African-American, commemorated in Grand Rapids. That speaks to a volume. I mean, that's a great accomplishment. I credit everybody who worked with that. At the same time, that's a great tragedy in a city the size of Grand Rapids with 40,000 African-Americans. Another lasting point I want to leave with, Ossie Davis, the late Ossie Davis, actor, activist. I read an article where he kind of wrote, he was a guest editor at this magazine, and some of the things I heard the gentleman speaking to, and I heard you speaking to about the black parents. Civil rights, kind of guaranteed the social justice and the equality piece, within legislation, your Voting Rights Act. Everybody now has the right. As far as the access and the tools, that's more of an empowerment piece, and that's something that has to come from our communities. And I think, one of the new fights within the African-American community, if Martin Luther King were around today or Malcolm X was around today, this is particularly more Malcolm X piece, is that we have to figure out how to rebuild our communities and tool them to take advantage of the opportunities that are available, because now there's more opportunity available than ever, but you see that internally we're going through so much turmoil that we're not necessarily taking advantage of those.
Okay, thank you. Did anybody have any closing remarks? We are, and what I wanted to add is that what it seems like we've done on this panel has become sort of full round. We started out talking about telling stories, and Francisco basically told us we need to remember how to celebrate each other, and then we can continue to do that. That kind of empowers everyone. So thank you for coming out, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Hopefully you'll come to more of it.